What's good, my manglers? Happy New Year! Today, this video's not gonna come out on New Year's, I don't think. But today, I have a very special video prepared for all of you. I will be ranking every single manga that I have read in 2025. This might be my biggest ranking to date. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but it's probably gonna be over an hour long. Yeah. I am ready. I know this is going to be a lot of fun. Let me just go over the parameters of this first. I'm filming this on January 1st, by the way, but this will probably come out later. So, to be on this list, you need two requirements. One, I need to have read it during the year of 2025, obviously. And two, I need to have read the first volume this year. So, a lot of these series are just volume ones that I read. No, there aren't going to be series like Blue Lock here versus Full Night, Blue Period. None of those manga are going to be here. Haikyuu is not going to be here. Because those are all series that I've read in previous years, 2024, 23, 22. Whenever I read the first volume, those were the years that I read it. And so they're not going to be here, even though I read volumes of that this year. So you have to have a volume one. Some of these I've only read the first volume of. Some of these I've read the entire thing. Some of these are one shots. Some of these they have 30 volumes and I've read one volume. Or some of these have, 30 volumes and I've read 10 volumes. I've read a lot of manga this year. I believe there are 62 different series in here. That's not even counting series that I didn't start this year. All the ones that I started are in here. We're going to go from worst to best. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually very excited. And then I'm going to go over probably, I don't know what I'll do next video. We'll figure it out. I want to do more stuff on like what I did this year though. I think that'll be very cool. Let's just start it off though, because I know this video is going to be long as shit. The worst manga, and if you've caught up with this channel, you probably know what this manga is. The worst manga that I read this year, and maybe one of the worst things that I've ever read, is Scars. Volume 1. I've only read the first volume. I believe there's only 3, though. I think Volume 2 is out in English, so I might get Volume 2. But this was the worst thing that I read this year. Sadly, it was, like, embarrassingly bad. The first volume, there's no... The problem I have with this is it's kind of just a whole pile of nothing. It follows, like, a lot of basic story beats that you feel like a lot of other, like, better manga follow, but it doesn't add anything new. It doesn't add any substance. There isn't really, like, a main talking point to this story. There's no main central theme at all. It's kind of just sad to be sad. I mean, I'll go over the plot. It's basically about this kid who has, like, this scar on his face, and he gets bullied for it, and that's kind of it. And then eventually he like meets this girl who's trans, and she gets like bullied by her like father. They like run away together, and then there's like the bully, and he gets like a redemption arc, but like it's like one of the worst things I've ever read in my entire life. The writing is so surface level in here, and I don't mean to come off as like an asshole being like, oh, I need deeper writing, but it is just so in your face, surface level. You can absolutely tell what the author wants you to think in any given moment, and it's just kind of annoying and unbearable. The art is honestly decent. I didn't really have problems with the art. There's one scene in here though that I really love. Honestly, this panel still sticks with me today. I was looking through a lot of these manga just to memorize what they were about before this video started, and I came across this scene where the character is having a dream about this girl that we don't know who she is, and we get this panel, and I really loved especially this panel right here. I thought it looked incredible, and that's honestly probably the only moment in this entire volume I even felt something. The writing, and like when I mean writing, I mean like dialogue, is horrendous. The characters are bland and boring. None of the chemistry ever makes sense. It honestly kind of feels like a 13-year-old wrote this, just trying to be sad for the sake of being sad, and it's pretty horrid. It's not great at all. Not even good. All right, next I have a one shot by the author of Dragonhead, actually, and it is Huntress. This was a manga that honestly just made me feel like absolutely nothing. The horror aspect in this manga is not great. There's really only one scene where I'm like, that was kind of scary, and it's when he like goes into the other guy's apartment and he like sees all the writings on the wall. Like that's kind of cool. Honestly, though, the main character is pretty unlikable. There's nothing really like going on with his character that like makes you care whether he lives or dies. The main like creature is like this lady right here, and she's kind of scary, but honestly, she just kind of looks goofy for a lot of this manga, and she's not really that terrifying, like really ever. A lot of the side characters are just really unlikable and boring. I kind of hate it when horror manga do this stuff where like they make these characters so one note because it makes it easier to go like kill them off later, and it's just so boring. And none of these characters are interesting. The art is honestly kind of awful. The ending isn't great. Well, you know what? I'll say the ending is fine. I think it's kind of interesting to have it as like this urban legend in this town. I think it's kind of interesting. But the overall plot of just this lady being obsessed with this guy and whatever, she's like a ghoul or whatever, is just so uninteresting and not scary and boring that I had no appreciation for it whatsoever. And next is another one shot that I was deeply disturbed by, and that is Eat. This is by the same author as This is by the same author as A Girl from the Other Side. Excuse me. Yeah, same author. This was just kind of disgusting and gross, and not in like a cool and interesting way. It's basically about this college professor who has like, well, first off, they're all animals, and he has like a fetish for like watching people eat, and then he also has like a major fetish of wanting to be eaten. And then he meets this guy who like really likes to eat stuff, and he's like, okay, can you eat me, because that's like my major fetish. And it has like this theme about like, oh, how far do you go to like achieve your like lustful desires or whatever the fuck. And I think it's just executed so poorly. It makes it feel like so like homoerotic and so weird. And there's like, it's kind of hard to even pay attention to what this manga is even trying to talk about. The characters are really one note here and really boring. Eventually they introduce this Fox character that was supposed to like be the character that made our main character have like this fetish or whatever, and the scene is just done so poorly. He like basically like sexually assaults him, and like no character has any input on that whatsoever. I hate it when a sexual assault scene or a rape scene will happen and everyone will just like go on throughout their day, and they just do that in this manga, and it's like just kind of annoying to read, and it's honestly just overall disgusting. And this ending like makes no sense whatsoever. He kind of basically says like, hey, I don't want to be fully eaten because I'll be dead, so you're gonna like half eat, like we're gonna basically be friends without benefits, where you're going to be my fuck buddy and you're gonna be the only one to eat me. And it's just like not interesting at all. It's sad to say because I think this could be an interesting like manga about animals being humans. I mean, you have to look past the furry shit. This is honestly just furry shit. When you look past it, I think it can be really interesting. I think Beastars does it fantastically. Eat does it the absolute opposite of fantastically. All right, next I don't even know. If that was 62, 61, 60, this would be 59. In the 59th place, we have Eden of Witches by Yumeji. This manga is so beautifully drawn. I am honestly kind of annoyed how beautifully drawn this manga is, but how shit the writing is. The writing is really, really bad. Specifically, the dialogue. The dialogue is awful. The story is awful. Things kind of just like conveniently happen. Characters are really like, they kind of feel like they're just being ripped from other manga, and they feel so baseless and so surface level. Again, I'm not trying to be like a pretentious asshole and be like, I need my characters to be deep. But here, it just doesn't fucking work at all. Like, characters will just like make decisions, and you're supposed to believe those decisions because like that's the archetype the author wrote the character in, and it's just kind of annoying. And it sucks too because the art is fucking beautiful. Like, here, let me see. Honestly, you can really take any panel, but I just switched to this one. Look at that fucking art, man. It's so beautiful. And this story just goes absolutely nowhere. And it's not great. All right, next we have a manga that's a little bit less negative in terms of the last like 4 that we just talked about. It's Kakegurui. Now, I'm not a big fan of this manga. I mean, obviously, it's one of the ones that are at the bottom. This manga is just kind of boring. It's kind of hard because the only other gambling manga that I've ever read that came like close, or that I could like compare it to is Kaiji, and Kaiji is one of the best things I've ever read ever. So I don't like, it's kind of hard to compare it. But this was not great, to be honest. It was okay. I think the characters are kind of interesting, even if they do have like the problem of just being very one note, basically saying the exact same thing. They kind of act like Blue Lock characters if Blue Lock characters had no depth. Like, Blue Lock characters, it'll be like, yes, they have like the silly anime thing, but then the author reveals a lot of depth on like why they're like that, and like the depth of their ego, and the depth of their personality and how far that takes them. And it becomes a lot more interesting, and those like very simple plot points start to work for the characters instead of hurt it. It's like that, but remove all that shit I just said, and it's just the Blue Lock characters, and it's just not interesting at all. This main girl, her gimmick is like that she makes like the worst bets ever and somehow still wins and everything. And she's like kind of smart. Like she knows what she's doing, but yeah, her gimmick gets old after like chapter 1. Our main character is the most nothing main character ever. He's just kind of like a straight man that lets things happen to him. I kind of hope that he does grow into a character that can like gamble himself and hold his own and doesn't rely on our main girl here as much, but at least in this first volume, that's not where it went. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing that happens that, for me to like say, oh, this was good, this was bad. I do think the world building is really cool though, of like this gambling school. It kind of reminds me a lot of Food Wars. They introduce a lot of different characters and like status levels and everything like that. And I do really like, I think that's actually handled really well. Not as well as Food Wars, but here it's just kind of like this stuff around the world, like the story and the characters, they don't work like at all. All right, next we have a manga that I think its gimmick just kind of goes away after like halfway through, and that is DMC, Detroit Metal City. Basically, what this is about is this rocker guy is secretly like a super chill, nice dude who just wants to make like Ed Sheeran music, but nobody wants to listen to Ed Sheeran music, so he has to dress up as this guy to pay the bills, and he makes extremely grotesque and disturbing songs. They're honestly, the thing is yes, when I'm reading this, I'm like, this is awful, but there are times where I'm laughing, and it is honestly a funny manga. Obviously, it's not going to be for everyone, but like there's a lot of like really, really bad jokes in it. There's this joke that goes for way too long where they're like, him and his band are like trying to like they like meet with like their manager or like agent, and she is like the worst person ever. She's like trying to tell him like, hey, you need to write this new song. Let me see what lyrics you want to write. And like the dude writes down some like corny lyrics, like Ed Sheeran lyrics, and she's like, oh, this shit doesn't make my pussy wet at all. And it's just not fucking funny. And maybe it's funny for the first one because it's a bit jarring. Like, damn, like she just said that shit. And then she says it like 12 more times. And it's just not fucking funny. And then they do another joke where her and like another like and like goons go and break into this guy's house and like to make it more fucking dark and disturbing and shit, like one that this guy would live in. And it's just fucking like depressing to read, and it's just sad, and it doesn't work at all. But then there are some funny jokes where like he invites her like journalist friend. He has like a friend who he has a crush on. He invites no, he doesn't invite her to a concert. She's a journalist and she's going to like journal on the concert, but she doesn't know that he's like this brother right here. And he just goes fucking crazy, and like he does some vile shit. I'm not gonna spoil it, but he does some vile shit. And that was honestly pretty funny. And I do love like this manga using this idea of like good side, bad side, whatever, like how far he's willing to go for his music career, but doing it in such a goofy way of just like making these cheesy songs that nobody listens to, or making these extremely disturbing songs about like eating babies in hell. And they actually pay, and like this, like that's like a story you would see in like the Bible. I'm not trying to say this like it's trying to relate to the Bible. That's a story you would see in something as serious as the Bible, but it's in Detroit Metal City, and it just doesn't take it seriously at all. And it's honestly pretty decent. I just think the gimmick like gets so old so quick. All right. Next, why am I getting lightheaded? This is not good. I don't know why I'm like spacing out a little bit. Yokohama Karaishi Kiko. I think I'm going to speed this up a little bit because we have a lot of manga to go through. This was okay. I kind of enjoyed this a little bit. It's a very peaceful manga that I don't think I read at the right time to be able to enjoy it. There are some interesting developments here as well. I just don't really like care for slice of life that much, and this honestly just didn't really work for me as much as I wanted it to. There are some chapters that I really love, and I do like the reveal that like she's a robot comes in like halfway through this manga. Well, not halfway, but it comes like later than it should, and it works really well with like its theme. And yeah, it's just a really interesting manga about the future, and it's just like really, really cool to read. But again, I think I just read this at the wrong time. It really did not work for me. All right, next we have a comedy manga, Hinamatsuri. I like this manga. I thought it was fairly funny at times. I think it's a bit boring though. Again, like the gimmick kind of gets old. They introduce a new character around the end that I assume is gonna like, shift the plot. Move the plot forward a little bit. It's basically just about this mafia dude that gets this little alien girl. And yeah, that's basically all that happens. And hijinks ensue. And she has like psychic powers and stuff, and he's trying to deal with it while also like being in the mafia and being in the Yakuza or whatever. And it's fun. It's a fun manga. It doesn't really do anything wrong, but I'm not going to put it higher than any of these other manga. All right, next we have Horimiya, Volume 1. This is a fine romance manga. It's not anything crazy from the romance manga I've already read. Honestly, probably one of the worst romance manga I've read, but I've just read so many good ones. The gimmick here is that basically they both have sides. They're basically like she is like the popular girl at school, and then when she goes home, she's like the caregiving, like kind of like a traditional mother kind of character. She's not a mother, but like she has like the traditional mother vibe when she gets home. And then he is like the studious type. And then when he gets home, he's like the rock star, like goth kind of vibe. And it's like they have different sides to each other that other people don't know, but only they two know, and then they like bond over it. I will say though, what really makes this manga good and not worse on this list, I do think the romance is one of the most generic things I've ever read in my entire life. It really, like, I really just don't sense the chemistry between these two. This guy has like a friendship with this one other guy, and it's just so wholesome. Like, they don't become friends for like a certain reason. He just like likes her and asks her out, and he's her friend. Like, he knows this, and he's like, damn, I guess you rejected me. I guess I'm your friend now. And they're just like best friends. And it's just really wholesome to read about. And it's really nice. And I kind of like the friendship just starts like over nothing. And it's just kind of beautiful to read. I really enjoyed it. I think the relationships and friendships in here feel very natural and very genuine. But the main relationship is extremely generic. Honestly, I also think this gimmick just doesn't work. I really don't care for the gimmick. And yeah, I was overall just not just kind of bored during it. But whatever. Next, we have a manga that I don't know. I don't really have many thoughts about. It's Origin, Volume 1. I've only read one volume. Honestly, I think all of these I've only read one volume of, which makes sense because, I mean, if I didn't really like something very much, why would I go read the second volume? But Origin, Volume 1. This is by Boichi. He does not have an author for this. He is doing the art and the writing. And you can definitely tell that. This manga is honestly a very similar one to Fist of the North Star, where it's very much just like a bro manga. Basically, it's about this dude who's like a robot samurai, and he like just lives a normal life. That's really like all it's about. The first chapter is fucking sick. And then he goes to like fight these villains who are really cool. Like, it has like nothing is fucking going on. Nothing makes sense. It just looks cool. The art is really cool, and the author knows that. Like, there's no depth. There's no willingness to like get into the characters. There's no reason to get invested at all. And honestly, on paper, I mean, this manga is on paper, but like, if you put this story on paper, it's probably one of the worst things I've read this year, but it's just cool. Like, the author just knows how to make cool shit. The main character is sick. And this manga is just cool. And the author knows that, and he's doing a great job at it. All right, next we have a manga that, the anime is very popular. I don't know if people are going to agree or disagree with my take on how low this manga is. By the way, this is the 1/4 way through this video. Or at least through the manga that I have. This is 1/4 of the way through. It's Takebi's Original Sin. I recently, to do this video, I was, trying to organize, these manga and stuff, and like what I wanted to be first, what I wanted to be last, whatever. And I was like, you know what? The anime was so good. Let me go back to the manga and let me see, did I really dislike this manga as much as I did? Because I really did not care for this manga as much as a lot of people did. And one of those reasons is I think the ending is really bad. And I'm going to read you the final like little dialogue exchange in the story, right? So we start here. This is where we start. And the main character, I forgot her name, Shizuka? It might be Shizuka, goes, Marina, what is that? And sees an image of Takebi. This is when Takebi's basically like erased himself from the universe. She goes, I don't know what it is. It's just there. Ew, looks like a ball of scum. Gross. Totally stupid, useless, like a ball of scum, a scum ball. This is not where I have the problem. She goes, Shizuka goes, yeah, but doesn't it look kind of concerned, like it's watching over us, like it wants to be with us all the time? Which first off, I like that line already, like, I don't like, because what the fuck do you mean it looks like that? I mean, I get it. It's supposed to be like her memory. She has like a subconscious memory of it. So like she doesn't remember it happened, but she has like, she can connect stuff to it. I get it. Okay. Why the fuck is a 9-year-old saying this shit? But whatever. Marina goes, yeah, and talk our ears off and never leave. It's stupid. And then she goes, and useless. All it does is talk. Because talking brings happiness. Are we fucking dead ass? We're really gonna put that line in here? That is the dumbest shit I've ever read in my entire fucking life. And I don't mean dumb as in like, that's wrong. Sure, whatever. You could say it's right or wrong. We're really just gonna say the fucking theme of the story out loud like that. That's literally the equivalent of like Yu-Gi-Oh going, I'm going to win with the power of friendship. Are we fucking serious? That shit pisses me off. Genuinely pisses me off. And then Takabi goes on this like this fucking monologue. He says, that's right. It's the most important thing of all. It's what I forgot. The most dependable gadget of all. Forgive me, mother. Happy. His mother is named Happy. In the end, I never got to tell you, Earth, the third planet in the solar system, to all of you in 2016. There were so many things I couldn't do for you. I couldn't fix your broken families or bring back the love you'd lost. The mothers you will never see again, the fathers who no longer belong only to you. I like that. You know what? That's pretty good. I really like that. I couldn't fix any of those things, but you and you and you and to all of you who feel alone at the moment, may you grow up to be happy adults. What? What? He literally just goes, hey, I know I wasn't able to fix anything in y'all's lives. I know every single one of your lives fucking suck. And to every single person whose lives suck, I really hope that in the future it doesn't and y'all become happy. Are we fucking dead ass? Like, do you realize when I read that, I'm dead ass, I'm serious. When I read that for the first time, I was like, there has to be a translation error in here or something. There has to be. Because do you know how bad it is when I read something and I'm like, I think the writing is so bad that there's a translation issue? There has to be a problem with that. I must have a bad copy. And he says something else that's way more profound than that. Because what the fuck? What the fuck? And I love the theme that it's trying to going for. I love the theme that it's trying to going for where people who are suffering, the beauty of it is that community can be founded in people that are suffering. I love that idea. But the execution is fucking horrid. The execution is horrid. And that doesn't even detain my problems with a lot of this other manga. You might be asking, why is it so high on the list? Well, it's not really that high, honestly. It's in the lower half. But why is it higher than the other manga that I talked about? Because there are good things about it. That's the problem. There are really good things about it. The entire idea of Takupi going back in time over and over and over and trying to save Shizuka only to fix her problem by killing Marina and then Shizuka being happy, that's fucking genius, man. I love that part. Anzai's entire thing with his brother is fantastic. The entire thing with the pancakes, fantastic. Even though I hate the form of bullying that they show, I think the fear that Shizuka and Takubi both feel when interacting with Marina because of the bullying is real. And I love that part. I think there's so many things this manga does right, but I can't put it higher, and I also can't put it lower because there's so many things I think it does so incredibly wrong and gets the execution wrong so much. And honestly, the latter half of this manga is upsettingly bad. It's upsettingly bad. All right. Honestly, if you want more of my thoughts on Takabi's Original Sin, I have an entire video about it. You can go ahead and watch that. I'm going to just move on to the next one, though. Because I'm not going to talk about that more. All right, next. Before any of you go crazy. Oh, my God. Y'all might be mad for what I have in two more places. The fact that it's above a lot of these. But whatever. As Blom, I only read one volume of this, so don't be mad. Honestly, this is a manga I feel like you kind of need to read the entire thing in like one sitting to really get. It's a manga that really like you need to use your imagination to kind of follow along. And a lot of the times I'm just a bit too lazy to do that. And some of this stuff, even if you try to use your imagination or try to use your thought process, just doesn't make any fucking sense at all. And a lot of times, if you don't, and you kind of just like let it wash over you, which is what I kind of did for a couple parts of this manga, it just kind of gets like the most boring thing ever. But I also do think that I have not read a lot of this. Like, I haven't read enough of it to be like, it's this bad. Like, I doubt if I read volumes 2 through 6, or I think there's 6 or 7, 6 or 7 volumes of this, I think, of this entire series. I think if I read the other 6 volumes or 5 volumes, I would place it a lot higher. But I've only read 1, and so this is where I'm placing it. All right, next, we have another one-shot. Well, it's not really a one-shot. How do you explain these? It's like a short story collection more, but it all has the same idea. Before You Go Extinct, I think the main problem with this is just that I feel like there's not really a clear focus with a lot of these stories. I also don't think a couple of these stories are great. I think the first story, the first story is just so random. Honestly, it's just kind of hard to read a manga like this when the main characters look so goofy and it's just a really goofy idea. Like, the first story is about like a serial killing penguin that like kills all other penguins because like he has like the ideal that life is like hell, and so he's like getting people out of hell by getting them out of life. But it's penguins, and I just like can't. It's harder to take it seriously, and it just doesn't do a great job. I think I'm fulfilling its premise. I do think the crow story, the next story is about like crows, and it kind of has this idea on like I don't like the philosophy of like keeping culture and the importance of like having culture in a certain place, and how like community is more important than keeping culture, but it's like a scale thing where it's like 6-7, by the way. It's a scale thing where like you need to kind of have both to be like full, and it just relates to crows, and it's honestly really well done and really beautiful. And then it obviously drops the ball because then there's another story about like a pop star that like only became a pop star to date this, and then they do like date or not date, but like procreate with a certain type of bird, and then they don't, but then he realizes that like his friendship with this one animal is more important, and it just like kind of doesn't work. Some of these stories are really boring, some of these stories are really uninteresting, and some of these stories are genuinely beautiful, but I'm gonna put it here for now. All right, next we have a manga that you guys might be mad that I put up here this high, but I really don't care what you guys have to think. It's Prison School. So in a video, when I did a bingo card video, I think it was a bingo card video, I said that Prison School was better than Berserk. No, I didn't. What I said was if I read Volume 1 of Berserk and I read Volume 1 of Prison School, I am more likely to go pick up Volume 2 of Prison School before I pick up Volume 2 of Berserk. You're going to see Berserk later on this video. I'm just letting y'all know. Berserk will be later on in this video. Prison School, though, it kind of has the DMC problem of just being extremely gross. And it gets to a certain point where it's not sexy at all. Like, it's honestly just fucking gross. As soon as they get into the prison, it's just the grossest shit ever. Like, there's a scene where, like, he watches this one girl pee, and you just see it. You, like, fully see her pee. And then there's another scene where, oh my God, like, just remembering it is just making me fucking grossed out. I do say that there is some funny aspects to it that actually do kind of work. Like, there are some jokes here and there that I actually kind of like. Like, there's this one joke where two characters are in, like, a precarious situation in the shower. And the other, like, 2 other characters think that they're, like, fully having gay sex. And it's honestly kind of funny. And then there's this other side plot where this other guy, he's like the principal, but he like has this emotional attachment to like a bunch of these like random photos of a bunch of women's asses, and he just has like such emotional attachment to it. And it's that one's honestly kind of funny, but overall this is the most unfunny manga of all time. But the reason I have it this high is because this manga is genuinely fantastically paced. I think this manga is so good at its pacing and story and just how quick it is to introduce problems and introduce solutions. And it's fucking fantastic in that aspect. Really, it is. Like, I don't really have like an example. It's been a minute since I read it, but like there will be a scene where these two characters come up with a plan, and then there's a problem, and then the smart character instantly comes up with a solution, and then there's another problem, and it's just so quick, and it bounces from we got this to we're cooked to we got this, we're cooked, and it's just so quick in that and so well done. Like the author is genuinely fucking good at that shit. And the ending leaves off on a cliffhanger where I genuinely finished the volume. No matter how gross the rest of this manga was, I finished the volume being like, damn, I kind of want to buy the second one. Now, I didn't end up buying the second one, nor reading it, but obviously. But yeah, the fact that this manga was able to like get me to think that way is pretty surprising. Next. Wait. No, never mind. Sorry, I thought I was looking at something weird. God, we're 36 minutes into this video. I really got to speed this up. Tokyo Refused Rhapsody. I don't have much to talk about this one. It's basically about this demon dude who kind of wants to live like a normal life, but his father, who like created him, doesn't want him to because he was kind of made to like kill humans. That's the basic idea. And honestly, it's a pretty charming manga. I think the tone and like world of this manga is kind of fantastic. This main character acts a lot like a 9-year-old child, but the manga is also like super grotesque. And there's like a scene where like they just like there's like a bunch of naked women and they show like full everything. But the way it's written, it kind of feels like a kid's book. Like it feels like it's something written for children, but characters will like rip each other in half like the next panel, and it's honestly really like it's a kind of tone that I've never really read before, and it's a lot of fun. Honestly, it is. And that's the only really positive that I could think of. I mean, the art's good, but everything else is honestly pretty mid, about the manga at least. All right, next we have The Hitman Stands, volume 1. I've only read volume 1. I did buy volume 2 though, so you know that shouldn't make you feel a certain way. Maybe. The Hitman Stands. This is a very fun manga about a hitman who really likes an idol. And yeah, it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. I think the manga is really good at switching from serious dark moments to lighthearted goofy moments. Like there's this one chapter where the hitman kind of has like, I forgot his name, but the main character has like this thing where like as a hitman from birth, he was trained to like never be seen in pictures, and he wants to get a picture with his idol, but he physically cannot do it because, you know, he was trained from a little kid. And it's honestly a bit sad, but the manga is really good, and especially in that chapter, from switching from seriousness to silliness, and it feels pretty natural. The main character is a joy to read about. He's like a perfect amount of like badass killer to, you know, goofy like idol lover. And he's a lot of fun. The side characters are fun. It's an overall pretty solid manga. I mean, there's a reason I bought volume 2. All right, next we have a manga that in a different edition of it, I cannot say the full name of the title. It's Dog Ningen. That is what we will be calling it. I will be calling it Dog from now on. Yeah, this is honestly a lot of fun. This manga was kind of fantastic. The dialogue is really fun. The art is not good, but it's a joy to read. We get a scene it is like surprisingly like it surprisingly has like a lot of depth and a lot of emotion behind a lot of its scenes. And it's just a blast. It genuinely is. The dialogue is goofy as shit. Um Hold on. Let me see if I can get an example. Here we go. So he's talking like they're both thinking. The main character, who is a dog human hybrid, is thinking. And then the main villain is also thinking. The main villain says, his strength is monstrous. If I didn't dodge that, I would have been in big fucking trouble. I can see why they needed me for the job, but come on, Neo, you got this. You still have an ace up our sleeve. I need to pay extra attention. One move, and I am dead. And then the dog goes, fuck, cuh. I thought that would have done it. Why is he so fucking fast? Thinking isn't my strongest side, but think, Rex. Think. I have to hit my special attack. There's no other way. To add to that, the sword of his ain't normal. If I didn't dodge it in time, my head would have been sliced open. And it's just the way characters talk is just so like, come on, bro. He says, this, I ain't saying that word, really is. And then the next panel is a double page spread of them both saying built different. Like, that's just fun, man. That's actually just fun. Oh, all the manga fell down. That's fine. We're just not going to worry about it. All right, next, we have a manga that I don't know how y'all are going to feel about it. It's Fire Force. God, we're not close to being done. Ugh. Should I just low-key just keep going and, like, I'll figure it out later? Yeah, I'll do that. Fire Force Volume 1. Hopefully I have enough charge on my phone. That would be really bad. This is a lot of fun. This volume was just a lot of fun. The art is fantastic. The characters are a lot of fun. The main character is a surprising amount of fun. If you don't know, actually, when I first started watching anime, I tried to watch Fire Force for the first time, and I just didn't like it at all. And I think the manga is a lot better. I had a lot more fun with the manga than I did the anime, which is a bit weird because, I mean, there's sound, there's motion, there's everything in it. I will say, though, in the final, like, arc, I think this is a 3-in-1. In the final, like, third volume, it does get into, like, it tries to go in depth with this one certain character, and it's just so hard to, like, get invested in a story when it's constantly showing me boobs and tits and ass and all of this stuff, and it takes me out of the story so much. It's kind of like when it's kind of like when a Marvel movie will, like, have a serious moment and then it has to interject with a joke because, you know, whatever, that's what Marvel likes to do. And it's just like, how am I supposed to take this scene seriously when you're just interjecting with jokes over and over and over? How am I supposed to take any scene seriously when there's a bunch of tits and ass in my face? It's going to take me out of the scene. And usually it does. But I will say the characters are a lot of fun. The cast is that's the same shit. The art is really cool. The power system is really cool. And overall, I had a lot of fun with this manga. It's one of those omnibuses. Usually I can't finish an omnibus in one sitting. But I did with this one. And yeah, Fire Force is just fun. There's nothing more else to say. All right, next I have Ping Pong, Volume 1. This is another similar one where, of like a Takapi's Original Sin, not really, because I don't have as strong as feelings with this one as I do Takapi. It's just a very inconsistent manga, in my opinion. I do think that the art, it's really on the art side. The art in the ping pong games really elevate the kind of story that is going on in this manga. But when characters are just talking and doing other stuff, the art really hurts this manga. In my opinion, it's just, sometimes I feel like when they're trying to have a serious scene, it doesn't work at all. The two main characters are really, really good. One of the main characters is like this character who loves ping pong and like just works hard at it. And this other character is like a future prodigy. And they both have such interesting stories. Like the first main character I talked about, I didn't expect him to have such a relatable like arc, but it's more of like a downfall. Well, that is a character arc. Like a character arc can be a downfall, but he has like this like he like falls out of love with ping pong, and for the rest of this volume he kind of tries to find like his sense of purpose and like find who he is, because he like connected himself with ping pong for so long, and it's so relatable and it's so like genuinely sad. And then the other character has an equally compelling story, but the problem is like when these characters are having these stories, the art looks extremely awful. Like the art is really bad when it comes to characters just talking, but when it comes to the ping pong, it looks fucking sick. It looks so cool. But when they're just hanging around and like reflecting and shit, I'm like I just couldn't. It was just so hard to read. It really was. And at certain times the pacing is just abysmal. Really it is. Why do I talk like that? The pacing was abysmal. Really, it was. Like, I'm trying to convince you. Motherfucker, get off the video or get on. All right. Next, I have a manga that was inconsistent by the volume. That was Yu Yu Hakusho. If you have watched my video of me talking about my top 10 favorite volume 1s of all time, you might be confused why it's this low. Because I had it in the video. I think I had it like number 10 or something. I loved the first volume of Yu Yu Hakusho, but I think the volume 2 and volume 3, which were the volumes that I read of this manga, were really, really poor and really dropped the ball for this manga. The first volume is so good at creating like these beautiful emotional moments around death and like what we do with like the time we have to live. And it's so beautiful, man. Genuinely, it is. The first volume is so good at that shit. And volume 2 and volume 3 kind of just turn it into like a generic, like shonen, like episodic manga that really just feels so out of place. I'm really hoping. And in volume 3, they bring it back a little bit with this one character who has like this sick, like mother, but it's not really his mother because he's like a demon, and like there's this entire thing about it, and it's like, it's good, but it's nowhere near the first volume's level of like how good it was. Volume 3 was better, I'll say that. Volume 2 really dropped the ball for me. I just didn't care for it like at all, and that's why this is so low. But volume 1 was still fantastic. All right, next we have a manga that is low-key just a ripoff of a bunch of other different IP, but it was a lot of fun, so I didn't really care. Silence. This is basically A Quiet Place mixed with Chainsaw Man. That's really all you have to know about it. It's a lot of fun. The stakes are really high. The characters are a lot of fun. The art is good. And the action is fantastic. That's all I got to say about Silence. It was just a lot of fun reading that first volume. Next, we have Astro Royale. I'm going to be honest, I don't know why this manga is hated on so much. I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, this manga, it does feel, especially for this first part, the second part was really good. This first part felt, how do I say this? It felt really like kiddie. Like, I don't really know. It felt like kind of like Power Rangers, but like not in a good way. I do think the powers are super cool, where like everyone's powers are related to like what they wish. I think it's a really creative way to like instantly get characterization out there with certain characters. And I do think the premise is kind of interesting. The main character is fun. The action is really, really cool. And the ending is really sweet. I really like the ending. No, I'm looking back on it now and I'm like, damn, the ending was really good in Astro Royale. And I'm honestly kind of surprised people don't really like it that much. I had a lot of fun. Genuinely, I did. Next. We have Helk, Volume 1. I only read Volume 1. This is honestly just more of a comedy manga. It's just about like this demon world where they're trying to pick a new demon king, and the guy who's like winning at all the competitions is a human. And so, but you know what's funny is like the only person who really like cares that he's a human is the main character, who's like the princess or whatever. of like the Demon King, or of like the Demon Society, and she's the only one who cares, and everyone else is like so chill with it. He's like, bro, this guy's so chill. He's kind. He's nice. He wants to kill all the humans. Why don't we just let him be Demon King? And she's like, no, fuck this guy. It's a lot of fun. He's the main. This girl right here is really enjoyable as a main character. The dude, who is future Demon King or whatever, is a lot of fun. He's very mysterious, but he's also like, he's kind of like a mix of like Saitama and Sakamoto Days. The Taro Sakamoto, I think his name is. And he's kind of like a mix of those two characters. But he has like the character design of He-Man. And he's a lot of fun. This bird right here is a lot of fun. Overall, it's just a really fun shonen manga. I could see myself reading a lot more. I have the first 3 volumes of it, so. All right, next we have the manga by Kori X Kenshin, Monsters We Make. I own volume 2. I should probably read it, but I've only read volume 1. By the way, I'm still pissed off that my manga is fucking cooked. That's upside down if you can't tell. And this is right side up. What the fuck, Corey? Sorry, let me chill the fuck out. Yeah, this was just honestly a lot of fun. Here, I gotta turn it up to like memorize what I'm doing. Obviously, when reading it, you can tell that Corey does not have a lot of experience with telling stories or making manga, which is fine. This manga is a lot of fun, I will say. There's a lot of really cool moments in here. The art is fucking fantastic. I'll say that. The art is fantastic. The power system is really cool. The characters are a lot of fun. There are certain parts where I'm like, this part doesn't really make sense. This part has poor writing, whatever. But overall, as an experience, I had a lot of fun with this manga. And Monsters We Make is like a kind of series where like you can't really take it too seriously. I hope like that's proven wrong in the second volume whenever I read it. Wherever it is. I don't even know where it is. But I know it's upside down, but I'm looking at it upside down. It's still just a great story, I think. It's still a good story. Really, the art is like what got me. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think the main character has a lot of personality, and I think he's a lot of fun. He definitely feels kind of like, this manga definitely feels a lot like it was inspired by Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse, into the Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse movies, and the main character reflects Miles Morales a lot, like that in a lot of ways. Even if his story is very, very generic, he has like the generic like underdog story where he's like going into this prestigious school and he's like, the underdog. He's not as rich. He's not as prestigious. He doesn't have as many awards. And then, like it's the classic underdog kind of thing. It's still charming and it has a lot of heart, and you can definitely tell like a lot of care was built into this manga and the power system and the art and just getting a lot of details right. All right, next. Wow, we are not close to being, God, this video might be 2 hours long. My voice will actually implode. The Long Summer of August 31st, Volume 1. I only read Volume 1. This is just a really sweet romance. It's basically about this dude who they're in like a time loop. These two are in a time loop. And they basically come to the conclusion that the only way he's going to get out of the time loop is if he loses his virginity. Or like they both, is he loses his virginity. And they do a lot of creative things with the time loop. Like there's this one part where they're like together at 11:59, and then when it's 12 o'clock they're like separated and they go back to like their regular houses or whatever, and it just like it snaps like that. And there's just so many cool things this manga does with like the time loop aspect, like visually, that is so cool. Like every day starts off like this. Every new chapter usually starts off like this to represent it's a new day. And then eventually these two characters have a falling out. And then this is like what the chapter looks like after, with her not being there and him being there. And that is so cool. I just think it is so sick. And I think the theme of wanting to be young forever and wanting, and like this idea of like being in, high school love and stuff like that is really well executed in this manga. And it's just a lot of fun. It's really lighthearted, but it's so good at the serious scenes. It's genuinely funny. The art is is passable. It's pretty good. And yeah, it's just really, really good, man. It really is. And if this ever turns into an anime, I think it'll be pretty popular. All right, next we have another kind of romance manga. It is Girl Crush. This is a manga I didn't expect to like very much, but honestly, it has a good amount of like really well developed characters, especially here. This main character here, she's like, she starts off as like, the perfect girl or whatever. She like kind of becomes like a dancer, pop star, perfect girl for like this boy that she likes, but the boy that she likes this other girl who isn't as flashy and, isn't as, beautiful. And she like doesn't understand why. And I kind of love that the main character is like pretty flawed in this. Like, it's not like a admiration or like doesn't understand why or like no, she genuinely like is jealous of her and like goes out of her way to like sabotage their relationship. But like it's done in like a charming way where you can't hate on her too much. Like, she's not doing it maliciously, but it's kind of like a competition sort of thing for her. And it's really well executed. The main character is so interesting in that aspect, and she has like this kind of cool like gimmick to her where she's like when she was younger, she was like good at everything, but she got like kind of bullied for it and kind of like got like sexism about it. Like, she would be like good at dodgeball and boys would be like, don't be good at dodgeball, when she was like 5. So like, she like eventually like became good at everything to spite those people, but now she doesn't really have anything that she's like dedicated about and like that she loves and that like she is determined about and has like a purpose for. And that's what makes our main character not really like her and like our other character. And they're just great foils of each other. The relationships, like the love triangle, is really, really good. And the explanation of just all like the K-pop stuff happening here is really well done. It feels supernatural. It's a lot better than like Oshinoko, who it feels like really in your face. This here, it feels like pretty natural. It feels more like we're learning about a world rather than the author trying to tell you about a certain aspect of real life. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Really, it is. Didn't expect it to be as good as I thought it would be. Next is Dope Man. This volume 1, I don't really talk about this very much. I mean, it's not that remarkable. It's just a really cool manga, I'm going to be honest. It's basically about like this world where like, if you die of if you take drugs, you get like a superpower. Or no, if you like die of an overdose from a certain drug, you get a superpower. And so like, the people will do that to like be villainous, and then our main characters like go ahead and try to combat that and fight that. And it's just the coolest manga ever. Like, our main squad of characters to like suit up and get superpowers. The main dude shoots himself in the head, and then one guy like snorts a bunch of crack, and like this other guy like smokes weed, and like other guy does LSD and shit. Like, it's just so fucking cool. The writing is horrid. Like, the writing is really bad, but I had so much fun reading this. Genuinely, I did. The main character is sick. The characters themselves, all of the characters are fucking cool. The art is cool as shit. Honestly, if you want like just a badass like shonen kind of manga, this would be up your alley. This is so cool. All right, we are finally, I think, around halfway through. We are finally halfway through, and we're 58 minutes in this video. It is getting to a point where I started the video, it was light outside. It is now getting dark. Whatever. Next, to start off the halfway point, around the halfway point with the manga, we have Arabana. This manga is basically like a kind of mystery thriller about this main girl who kills her best friend. And like the reasons for that. And at the beginning, I thought this would be kind of a boring, not a boring manga, but the way it was setting up, it kind of felt a bit obvious like what the twist was. But as the story introduces new characters and new plot points and like new aspects, it gets really like a lot more interesting, especially when it switches main character. It's the main character starts off as like this her like the killer, and then the main character switches from her to her lawyer, and then her lawyer is like, and she pleads guilty, so her lawyer is trying to like find aspects to and he has like his own like friend, and she like helps him. And so they're kind of like a duo main characters. He is trying to like get the full story of what happened because she won't tell him. And it gets so much more interesting when the perspective shifts, especially like when they meet certain characters, because the first half, she is an unreliable narrator, an extremely unreliable narrator, and in the second half of the volume, the like discrepancies get realized by the new main character, and it is so cool to read. It is genuinely a fantastic, well thought out thriller from the first volume, and I'm really excited to read the rest of it. I don't know when the next volume is going to come out, but when it does, man, I'm going to be there. All right, next we have a romance manga that was asked of me to be read a long time ago, but I finally read it. She already did. Read The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. She already did though. But I made a deal with a viewer. She would read Fragrant Flower. I would read this. Let me just get to the manga. It's my love story. Sadly, I didn't love it as much as Fragrant Flower. Actually, not even close. I think the main problem I had with this manga, I will say the romance is the cutest shit I've ever read in my entire life. I mean, not actually, but it is cute as shit. The main character is so sweet. He cares for the main girl so much. Their relationship is so good, especially because it like the first like they get into a relationship halfway through the first volume. Like it's not really, there isn't really this like will they won't they kind of thing. They like there's a little bit of it, and then they immediately get into a relationship, and it's just so cute to read about. I will say though, there are a lot of problems I have with this manga. One of them being, I think the gimmick of the main character being like kind of disrespected, it's honestly kind of sad. Like, how do I say this in the least cringiest way possible? When I was younger, I hit puberty really early. Doctors were pretty astonished by how quick I hit puberty. I hit puberty in like 6th grade. So I was like double the height of everybody in my class. And honestly, I was one of the tallest people in the entire school, in like middle school and high school. So I was like 6 foot in like 7th grade. And it was a lot different of an experience being that tall. And I was also overweight as shit. There's a point I was starting to get into boxing, but I was still overweight. So I had like a very like chunky build. So I was like tall as shit, big as shit. And just regular stuff like affected me at this time. Like I wouldn't be able to like fit in my chair because these chairs were supposed to fit for like 6th graders. And I wasn't able to do that. So they had to like get a bigger chair for me. Whatever. This is trying to say like why I feel about this manga. And I got a very different sign. Like people treated me differently because I'm not trying to like fucking trauma dump right here. Cause there's not fucking trauma. But like I got treated differently. Like at the end of the day I did. And because of, how tall I was, whatever. And it affected me a lot when it came with like friends and girls and like all that other stuff. Like in 6th, 7th grade, like again, it does not fucking matter. Like relationships are not a thing, but nobody wanted anything to do with me at that time, right? Whatever, who cares? But like I'm chill now. But at the time, it was really bad. It was actually a big problem with like my mental health. And like I see that in this manga, and it's like getting joked around about. And I understand that like this is Japanese culture. again, I hate that excuse, but this is Japanese culture. Whatever, you take the good with the bad. Not a lot of people like this live in Japan, but there are scenes where like he goes and he like will like literally save someone's life, and then the person will be like, oh my God, thank you so much, and then say to his friend who's so much better looking at him, and I'm like, I can relate to that, and it's like depressing as shit, and they like say it as a joke, and then there are other scenes, like there's this one scene that really like got to me, where like his friend's sister has a crush on him, and he just doesn't see it at all, and it's not played as this like, oh, oh, it's because like she's a tsundere or whatever. Like, it's played as just like he just has such low self-confidence. He doesn't even realize anyone could ever like him. Like, and then the original like date, like the original thing with his main girl is like, he originally thinks all the reason why she talks to him is to get with his friend. That's literally all that goes through his mind. There's never a single thought that's like, oh yeah, she would like me. And it just really like, and it's like joked around about, and it like kind of like, I just think it's really poorly executed. And obviously I had to share that anecdote to why, fucking I have a problem with it. But at the end of the day, like the comedy's good, the romance is good, it's fantastic. But like that aspect, personally, I really did not like it. I really like fucking hated it. And it was really annoying to read over and over and over again. And it just was so, but the problem was not that was introduced. That was not the problem. The problem was that they would introduce scenes like that of him having such low self-confidence. And then it's like, but it's a joke. Like they joke around about it in the manga. And it's like, I feel like it's so poorly handled. Like, honestly, the way it's written, it's like kind of beautifully written. If the author wanted to do like an actual deep dive of it, I think they could. And I think it's really well done in that aspect. If they actually wanted to take it seriously, but they don't. And it's like really like poorly executed, in my opinion. All right, next we have Blue Flag, Volume 1. I've only read one volume of this. This was a fantastic first volume. It originally just seems like a romance where two characters are like trying to help each other out. This dude is friends with this one dude, and this girl meets the main character, and she's like, hey, I want to date your friend, and he's like, I'm gonna help you. This is kind of the same thing as My Love Story, but it's not. It's not at all. And that's the normal part. It's a lot of fun. It is. But the ending of this first volume has a fantastic twist that I even now, like once a month, I'll just think back being like, damn, that Blue Flag twist was so fucking good. Really, really good twist. God, man, I think back, I'm not going to spoil it here, but I think back to it, I'm like, damn, that was such a good twist. But yeah, the romance is great, but that twist really like elevated it for me. Next, we have a manga with honestly an equally as good twist. I just like the premise of this a little bit more. It is Ado, Volume 1. Honestly, looking back, it should be a bit lower, maybe, but I had a lot of fun with this. I do think it has a problem with like its writing. Like they introduced this one character who like hates lies, and he kind of just sucks. Like he's not well written at all. But it's still a lot of fun. There's a fantastic twist at the end that I didn't really know what they were going to do with, and I think it's really, really well done. The world, I think, is so cool. I think the art is fantastic. I think the pacing is fantastic. I think the story they're going with is super sick. I don't really got much to say. It kind of also reminded me of Full Night. So obviously I'm going to like it because it reminds me of Full Night. But it's more on just like the plant, visual like aspects rather than fucking the writing. All right, next. I'm actually trying to speed through this because I'm not trying to be here for 2.5 hours or whatever. Next, we have Yan, Volume 1. This is a big volume. I really want to read Volume 2. I just haven't gotten the chance yet. This is basically a manga about this girl who's like low-key a superhero. God, this is just such a cool story. I don't really know how to explain this. So basically what happens is someone kills her entire family and she takes the blame for it. She goes to prison, comes out and has like superpowers. I don't remember why, but she does. And then she meets this other dude. Well, she meets a detective who's like kind of like the straight man of the story, where he's the powerless one. And then they meet another girl, and this girl can like see 5 seconds into the future, and they do this really cool like optical illusion, like visual thing with it, and it's super cool. Like, it's not just like, oh, turn. It's not like a Spidey sense where she just goes, oh, behind you, and then they don't explain it at all, and she's just like, I can see 5 seconds to the future. They really like go in depth with like her power, and she's like talks about how like she can see in like 4 dimensions and shit, and it's really cool. The art is really sick. The main character is a lot of fun. She's kind of just like this badass who takes like no bullshit, but she has like a lot of this mystery to her, and she's super, super cool. The beginning of this manga is so sick. Yeah, it's just genuinely a lot of fucking fun. And honestly, it's very similar to a manga that I'm about to talk about right now, which I think is a little bit better, really just because I read more volumes of it. And it is Baki, the Grappler. It's honestly pretty similar to this. I had a lot of fun with Baki as well. I just read 2 more volumes of it than I did Yan, so I placed it higher. But this manga is so cool. I think its biggest strength is how effortlessly it's able to make characters seem strong and just introduce characters in general. We get introduced to like a main cast of characters in like the first chapter, and they're all pretty memorable and they're all pretty cool. Well, not the first chapter, but like the first like part of this volume. And it's really, really cool. By the 3rd volume, they already hype up like this really big fight of Baki's dad and this one other character, and it's really like well done, and like there's actual stakes to it. Like when it got hyped up, when they're like, oh shit, they're about to fight, I got excited, and they did that in 3 volumes. Like that's kind of crazy to me. Obviously this manga has some good fights. I think the fights are honestly pretty inconsistent though, in terms of like drawing. Like the way characters are drawn and stuff, like the way action happens, it's a bit outdated, and it's pretty, what's the word? Inconsistent. I already said it before, but it is. Sometimes it looks so fluid, and sometimes it looks really choppy. And the like contrast of like the art. What's the word? Not contrast, but I forgot the word I'm looking for. But the contrast of the art looks a bit weird sometimes. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on a little bit. But the manga is just so good at making Baki such a rootable character, making characters seem hateable, making characters seem villainized, and bringing it back and making them seem, kind and favorable. And it's just really, really cool, honestly. It's just a lot of fun. And yeah, the author just does a great job at these fights, these characters, the story. It doesn't really feel like we're just fighting for the sake of fighting. Every villain feels important, significant. That's honestly all you could want from a fighting manga. Really it is. All right, next we have another manga that maybe should be a bit higher, but I'm not really going to talk about it too much. It is Dog's Red, Volume 1. I've read the first 3 volumes to this, I believe. Either the first 2 or 3. And it's just a lot of fun. The characters are a lot of fun. The hockey aspects are really, really cool. Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this. There's not really much to say. As we go along, a lot of these manga really, like, tomorrow, if you asked me, oh, is Baki better than Dog's Red? I could say yes. I could say no. It's like a 50-50. Like, really, from a lot of these spots, there's really nothing to, like, say this is better, this is not. I guess I just liked the characters a little bit more. I really like this main character. I think his rivalry / relationship with the main like deuteragonist or like, you know, whatever. He's like kind of like a Kageyama kind of character, but a lot more aggressive. He's kind of like a mix of Kageyama and Bakugo. Is really cool. Like their friendship is really cool. It's really well executed. I think the way the story introduces like the main team is super cool. The way the main character like integrates with the team is really cool. I think the main character honestly just steals the show anytime he's like in a scene, and that's honestly all you could ask from a main character. He is so much fun. Yeah, and overall, I just had a great time with this manga. We get a really good scene too, where we get like this, like there's like a tsunami where this like city is, and the way it affects a lot of different characters, especially one main one, and it is so good, and it's like genuinely sad, and you know how good a manga has to be for you to be like, maybe I should revisit this other guy's works because I maybe criticized it a bit too harshly. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Golden Kamuy. Honestly, I don't really like it very much. I read the first 3 volumes and I could not care for it. And then I read the first 3 volumes of this and I loved it. So now I'm thinking back like, damn, maybe I need to go back to Golden Kamuy and read it again, and maybe, you know, I'll love it. And you know, I'll love it just as much as this manga. Like, do you know how good a manga has to be for you to be like that? Like, Dragonhead, I read the Huntress or whatever. If I go to Dragonhead, I'm like, this is pretty good. I'm not going to go back to Huntress and be like, maybe Huntress is a lot better than I thought. No, I'm still going to think Huntress is shit. But maybe Dragonhead's, you know, fantastic. And I'm like, damn, maybe Huntress is a lot better than I thought. That could honestly happen. Really, it could. Again, why do I talk like that? Okay. Next, I got Kingdom. Wow, my back is sore as shit. People were right. I got bad posture, man. I really do. Kingdom, Volume 1. I've only read Volume 1. Volume 2 literally just came in the mail, though, so I might read Volume 2 later on. This was a lot of fun. First off, let me just say, the fights are really cool. There's really only one main fight in this, and it's between the main character and, like, this, like, assassin kind of character, and it is so sick. I think the author introduces like this main like rivalry and friendship really well. Really introduces like the characters' motivations pretty well. I will say though, there is a part in this manga, in this volume, where like they're explaining the political relationships of like these two like factions and kingdoms, and it is like kind of poorly executed, where like you're just kind of reading it, and it's like they're kind of just telling you straight to the face, okay, this guy doesn't like this guy, and this guy doesn't like this guy, and this guy doesn't like this guy. I'm sure it'll pay off later in the volume, and it's a short part, so, you know, I can't be too mad at it, but for that section, it was kind of hard to read, where like, why would I care about these characters? You know what I mean? Like, I already, like, any scene that wasn't really with the main character and with the main cast, I didn't care for as much. And there is like one main scene with that, and I just didn't really like it. So it has flaws, but you know. All right, next, you know, don't judge me. This might be a bit low for a lot of you, but I've only read 1 volume. That is The Climber. Honestly, there's a lot of people who say The Climber only gets good at this certain part because the author changes. I still think the beginning of The Climber is really, really good. I do think it can get a bit goofy at times, but I think the main character is so cool. I think he really embodies this feeling of like just wanting, of this like human instinct of just wanting to get from one high place to another, and how like instinctive and like driven that feeling can be. And I think the author really paints that feeling well to the reader. And when I mean reader, I mean this guy. Yeah, I just think it's overall really solid. I really like there's like this bully kind of character that's introduced that I really, really enjoy. I actually really like him. He starts off as like this bully character, but then he bullies like the main character, but then he sees that he actually has like a love for climbing, and he like gets this like mentorship kind of feeling to him that like he needs to mentor him and like make him better and all this stuff. And they grow like this kind of sweet friendship where they don't really like each other. They just kind of have these like common interests and they just grow together as a result. And there's just a lot of cool scenes in here. Really, there is. And the art obviously is fantastic. It's Shinichi Sakamoto. Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this. And the climber really was fantastic. Obviously it gets better. I've seen some of the panels like in the future. It's gonna get better, but like I just had a lot of fun. Really, I did. Next, Land of the Lustrous. I'm gonna be honest, this is a bit too high, I think, maybe. Again, still fantastic. This first volume was really cool. I will say the art is probably its best aspect. It is so cool. The indirect storytelling is also really cool. We get a lot of sense of what the world is, and they don't really have to tell us. I do think it can be really confusing at times, and I do think the characters aren't really like well characterized, especially at the beginning. But as the story goes along in this first volume, I think they get a lot better. And this manga is just honestly super sick. That's my review of The Land of the Illustrious Volume 1. I've only read one volume of it, sadly. All right, next. Here's where we get to, like, the really good manga, honestly. This is where we get to, like, the genuine, like, honestly, this is probably 8 out of 10 and higher. Everything we're going to talk about is 8 out of 10 or higher, probably. Made in Abyss, Volume 1. I've only read one volume of this, but this was fantastic. The world building. First, let me just talk about the world building. Fantastic. I loved the world building in this manga. I love a series that like you can just see in the background. It just includes little details and aspects of like the world, and they are like important to the story. It really makes you feel the author has like fully thought out what this world would be like. And that applies here too. I think the characters are really fun. Especially, our main girl, she has like this thing with her mom where her mom went down to like the abyss and like how she wants to do it. And it's just, really like sweet, kind of. Not sweet, but like it's just fun to read about. The art, fantastic. They do this kind of like shading art throughout the entire thing where a lot of it is like in this like gray tone scale. I don't know if you can see that well. And it really works for this kind of story, I feel like. Like a lot of like a scene like this where she's like kind of running into the light. It's really easy for you to guide your eyes to. Again, I'm no fucking artist or whatever. I don't know. Like a mangaka would be able to tell you better, but I'm just the reader and that's just what I fucking observe. So when there's standout moments with like a lot of light or a lot of darkness, kind of like a scene like this, it really helps you focus onto the manga. And then there's this really sweet scene at the end where they go into the abyss and they're like saying goodbye to their friends and stuff, and it's really sad. And overall, this was just a really good manga. I do think the exposition. There we go. The exposition is really heavy-handed in certain parts. Let me see if I can find like a good part to like a good example. I literally just came over it. But like there are some parts where you just turn the page and it's genuinely just full paragraphs about like one certain aspect of the story and the world, and you're like, do we really need to know about this now? And we really need to know about it in this kind of manner? But overall, it's like a really good volume. All right, next we have City, Volume 1. This is one of the funniest manga I've ever read. It is genuinely hilarious. The fact the author is able to introduce so many characters so quickly and make them all so memorable is so good. The like world and like the world building, like you really get the sense of community in this volume. Like everybody is like related to each other in some kind of way, and it's just so like cool to read about. It kind of feels like you're reading a manga about Tomodachi Life. If you guys know what game that is, Tomodachi Life, it's basically where you just put a bunch of like Miis on an island, and like it's kind of like The Sims. I guess it could also be like you're reading about The Sims. It's kind of like that, where you're just like watching a community be a community, and like the hijinks that happen like in this town, and it's just so much fun. Really it is. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this first volume. All right, next we have another one shot. This might be oh no, it's not the final one. I know one of the last ones is the final one. Is a one shot, by the way. Maybe you can guess what it is. Stardust Family. Yeah, Stardust Family. This was a really interesting manga. Basically, it's this plot about like how like the population has grown so much that you now, if you want to have a kid, you now need to have like a parenting license, and the people, and they do like a parenting license, and then the people who like judge them are kids. But there's a twist about, like, they're not actually kids, but like there's a twist about it. Yeah, this is just a really good one shot. The story is so cool. The entire aspect, like the entire thing, is just such an interesting plot development of like, you know, parents, of like just like parents saving face, for their kids and stuff like that. And it is so cool. The main story does follow this like certain couple that like they have like a really interesting development with the main character, and their character arcs pretty much align. And the ending is so fucking good, man. The ending is fantastic. Oh my god, man. I'm just looking back on the end, and the ending, there's like a twist at the end, and it is so damn good. Oh my god, yeah. So good. So good. This is a genuine, fantastic one-shot. If you disagree with my opinion about Takabe's Original Sin, go read Stardust Family. Go read this. I think this is a 100% better one shot that you can read that's around the same length. That is 100% better. And that has kind of a certain, like, it really is just more about like kids having trauma. It's not really about bullying, but it has like a certain like thing to it. All right. God, I cannot believe I put this manga this high. Not this one. In like 2 spots, I can't believe I put it this high. But bro, it's my fucking opinion, okay? What are you gonna do about it? Mooching Into the Deep, volume 1. I've only read 1 volume of this. This is just a really cool story. It's Inio Asano? Yeah, Inio Asano, okay. Sorry, I always get manga authors mixed up sometimes. I was about to say like Takehiko Inoue, but obviously it's not Inoue. Inio Asano, it's his first like kind of action manga. It's basically about like these things called Mujinas, who are like assassins, and it's basically about like this world who's like a futuristic, like apocalyptic world where like everyone's right, like you can like give away your rights, and everyone has like a rights card, and Mujinas don't have rights, and it is so cool to read. It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but also has so much depth inside of it. Like, there's this huge talking point about what it even means to have rights, and like how that gets limited by government, while also being cool as shit. And the action being fantastic, and the art being fantastic. This is not like, I feel like a lot of Inyo Asano works kind of start off pretty slow. Well, not really. Like, Goodnight Poon Poon didn't start off slow. Actually, it started off pretty honestly, the beginning's probably some of the best parts of Goodnight Poon Poon. Really, I'm just talking about Dead Demons. I think Dead Demons Destruction starts off pretty slow. Mooching Into the Deep does not. It starts off pretty fantastic. This first volume was so good, and I'm honestly surprised I haven't continued reading it, because volume 2's on the floor right there. I could go ahead and just read it, and I'm kind of surprised I haven't, because of how much I loved this first volume. All right, next we have another volume that recently got an anime adaptation and a trailer. It is The Darwin Incident. Basically, I'm going to explain the thing, and then I'm going to say one statement, and then I'm going to end it at that and go to the next volume. This is basically a manga about this guy right here. His name's Darwin, I'm pretty sure. Is he really? No, his name's Charlie. Yeah. It's not Darwin. My bad. Yeah, his name's Charlie. And basically, he was a product of a human. I don't remember if it was just having sex with the gorilla or like injecting it with his sperm. But he is born from a human and a gorilla and a terrorist organization that are like a bunch of like vegans who like they are terrorists because they want the like the crime against animals to stop, or not the crime. What is it called? The fucking abuse. There we go. The abuse to animals to stop, and that's why they're terrorists. The terrorists want Charlie, like they want Charlie to join their group because they think if they have what they call a human Z, if they have a human Z on their side, people will take them seriously. And this manga talks a lot about like what rights does a human Z even have, and like how should we treat Charlie based on how we treat humans and based on how we treat animals, and what is the middle ground and how do we treat Charlie. You guys know my opinion about animals. My opinion is I don't give a shit. Animals are such a inferior life form to humans. The only way to respect animals living is for them to be eaten. So I really don't care about animals. The fact that we can write literature about the dangers and the harm that is being done to animals and the fact that we should not eat them. The fact that we can even do that and think of that and read it and process information and tell that to other people and make a video about it and post it onto a social media platform for other people to watch and agree or disagree. The fact that we can do that means that we should be able to eat animals because they cannot fucking do that. They can't even do the first step in that process. They can't even imagine what the fuck we're doing. I will genuinely become a vegan if any of you can prove to me a certain part where an animal has come up with a fucking story. If an animal comes up with a story and it can be translated to other animals, like of its species. If that ever happens, you know what? There's some value to keeping them alive past their, whatever, their murder date. That's my opinion. All I want to say about this is when the anime comes out, depending on how popular it gets, this will be the most controversial anime to ever exist on the planet Earth. The manga is based in America, so there are real-world American politics in this manga. There's a scene where they talk about representation in movies and whether it's right to race swap characters, and like whether it's right to like give a white character to a black actor. There's a genuine scene where that happens. There's another scene where this dude calls the main villain is like a black guy, and there's this dude, like they're just in a bar and this dude straight up just calls him the N-word, and they murder him, but like he just calls him the N-word. And then there's another scene where a genuine school shooting happens. And it's terrifying. Like, it's treated with like maturity and respect. It's fucking terrifying. This manga, and that's not even touching the fucking surface of what this manga is about. God, it's so fucking good. Please read it or just watch the anime whenever it comes out. You're gonna love it. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. All right. So I have a manga by the Prison School author, above all the ones we just talked about, and the Blue Lock author. Okay, hold on. Super Ball Girls, Volume 1. This manga is basically about a dude who is like kind of a total loser, and he throws he finds like a marble on the ground when he's walking home from work, and he throws a marble, and a naked woman appears and then he kisses the naked woman, and 4 more mobos pop out, and there's like 5 naked women in this guy's house. Or 4. I don't remember. I think it's 4. Hold on. I literally just saw a panel naming them. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, yeah. There's 4 girls who are aliens. The reason I have this so high is because I think the underlying theme this manga is going for is one of the most well-executed things I've ever read in my entire fucking life. I'm dead ass. This manga genuinely has fucking what's it called? It is social commentary about the dangers of pornography and the effects that it has onto young and developing men. I'm serious. I'm so serious. It is that serious. And every time I see, this pisses me the fuck off. Every time I see someone talk about this manga, they're always like, oh, it's just porn. It's just porn. There's nothing going on. It's just porn. Read, bro. Read. The thing is, okay, I had an advantage because I came into this thinking, okay, it's the Blue Lock author. The Blue Lock author is going to fucking cook. So maybe I'm putting more stock into this manga than actually is there. But I genuinely believe this manga has social commentary about the dangers of fucking. Genuinely. The dangers of pornography on men. Specifically, the dangers of men having like the mindset of women being like the women in porn. If that makes sense. You know how like the women in porn or the women in like hentai in general are very like, they're very just like, all they want is dick. You know, like it kind of feels like they'll literally do anything. They'll cheat on anyone just to have dick. Like the characters, like if you want to like analyze that shit, the characters, like I'm just talking about the characteristics. What do they all have in common? They all will do shit for dick. And this manga kind of like takes it to another level, and it kind of asks the question of what would happen if those people like were like lived like that day to day. And like you can argue that we have that in real life, and you can like we kind of do. Like there are people who are like addicted to sex, but like genuinely people who just every day they're just trying to have sex. And it's so much more interesting because these characters are like aliens. Like kissing and having sex is like how they reproduce. And the ending of this volume is so fucking good, man. It is so good. Oh my God, man. It is so good because it shows this interaction between one of the girls and this random guy, and it's so realistic and it's so terrifying, especially this ending, like the ending panel. I'm not gonna show it, and I think it really adds to this like aspect of how terrifying it is for people to think that's just how like women act. Like that is terrifying, and the effect that has onto young men and what that would actually be like in real life. And I think it is so much more interesting and well developed than people give it credit for. Genuinely, I think that. I'm so deadass. All right, we are finally 3/4 of the way through this video. Let's keep going. Oh, excuse me. Next, Bugle Call, Song of War. I'm gonna be honest. This was a volume that I read pretty early on. I don't really remember it very well. But basically, what this manga is about is this dude right here who has a horn on his head. I think his name is Luca. Yeah, Luca. He can like see. It's kind of hard to explain. He like sits in the back line. So there's like armies and shit. It's like Viking times. He just sits in the back line and he like blows a horn and he can see like weaknesses and like routes in the back line. So he like is kind of like the like interpreter for like all these motherfuckers for like his army. And he gets like recruited by these other people for like he gets recruited by like this mysterious guy with a mask on, and that's basically the story. And the entire idea is that he wants to be just a musician, but he's kind of forced into war because that's the life he's given. And he makes a deal with like, hey, if I help you defeat this big bad, you'll let me go and you'll just let me be a musician. And he's like, fine. And it is just really fun to read. Honestly, it is probably the most fun I've had with a volume in a long time. The story is just so well developed. The art is fantastic. The characterization is really good. We get introduced to like this cowardly character, and originally I thought he was just going to be like a Zenitsu where he's just so annoying, but he's really like well characterized and he's really well written. Like his fear feels real, and his like character adds stakes to the rest of like any interaction that these characters have or any action that these characters take. His fear adds stakes to that, and it like reading this manga kind of feels like you're reading like a on paper masterpiece, if that makes sense. Like everything is so well developed, everything is so well built, everything is so well thought out. It's like reading Full Metal Alchemist. Like I'm not emotionally attached to a lot of these characters, but just reading it, I'm like, man, like this author really knows what they're doing. And it's just so good, man. I really think in the future, this could be like a Full Night or Versus where it's like, it's one of the ones where I look forward to every time it comes out. All right, next, we have a manga that I literally just based off the first volume. Tokyo Ghoul Re. I won't talk about this too much. This is just Tokyo Ghoul, but they kind of switch the perspectives on you. Which, I mean, honestly, just, first off, the existence of this manga perfectly fits in, like, the theme Tokyo Ghoul is going for, which is, like, perspective is, like, important when discussing humanity. And, yeah, it's just so good. Kaneki is so good in this manga. They bring up so many good talking points about humans and ghouls in this volume. And I was honestly just shocked by how good this first volume was. Really, I really was, like, especially because Tokyo Ghoul and Chojin X, I think both start off so slowly. Like, they're both fantastic, but, like, they start off so slowly in, like, the fact that, like, they just don't, they're just not very, like, it takes a while for a lot of those developments to come together and for, like, those arcs and stuff like that to get paid off. But no, they just did it immediately in that first volume, and I loved it. Next, we have Witch Hat Atelier. This was one of the best first volumes I've ever read, honestly. I really loved this first volume. The world, so good. I like the creativity in this manga is so good. Characters, so good. World, so good. Art, fantastic. Like, God, man, I really loved this first volume. I love the main character. She kind of reminds me of Inori from Medalist, and if you know me, she's like, Inori from Medalist is one of my favorite main characters of all time. And she reminds me a lot of that, where she's just like this very curious, bright-hearted, determined girl who just really wants to like achieve her dreams, but has a lot of like outside things like holding her back, and she's this like very like goal-driven, responsible person, and like, God, and she's so likable, and the way she like gets around certain problems and the way she deals with certain stuff is so cool, man. And I really need to express how good the art and the world is, man. Like, the power system is so creative and so good. God, Medalist is like actually fantastic. All right, next we got I Shield 21. I've read the first 7 volumes of this, I believe. I'm waiting for volume 8 to come into the mail whenever it wants to. Yeah, I just love this first volume. Well, the first 7 volumes, actually. I think the characters are really fun. I think the art is fantastic. I think the pacing's fantastic. The games are really fun. I was never an American football guy. I'm still not. But this manga is extremely entertaining. The characters are really good. The comedy's a bit aged. Like, the comedy's not great. But, like, I don't know. I just think this manga is so good. Like it's just Dr. Stone's writing, man. Like really it is. It's like so hard to explain why you think something is great, but you just have to read Dr. Stone to like kind of understand it. And yeah, I just love this manga. It's just cool. We get so much good character development from a lot of different characters. We just get so many good character interactions. A lot of characters just have such like fun friendships with each other. And the character dynamics are like fantastic. All right, next we have Go With the Clouds, North by Northwest. What do I have to say about this manga? It is just a really chill, well-drawn, well-paced mystery about this brother's brother. Basically, it's about this dude that lives in Iceland. First off, beautiful fucking setting. The setting is always important in this manga, and it's just fucking beautiful. The way it's drawn is so good. But basically, this main character has a power to like talk to like cars and like machinery. And his brother has like the power to like kill people. And there's like this ongoing mystery of like trying to like out his brother into doing that. I don't really know how to explain it very well. It's just so good, man. It's so good. It's so well paced. It's so chill. The vibe is immaculate. The romance is fantastic. There's a romance in this too. The romance is a lot of fun because of how like cheeky the characters are with each other. Like there's deadass this one scene. There's this one chapter. This isn't the entire chapter where they go on like a run together and like he genuinely just like, first off, they're not even dating or anything. Like this is deadass sexual harassment. He like smacks her ass. Right, like just full on grabs it, and then he runs away, and then she catches up, and then she full on like grabs this guy's dick and like smacks his ass, and they're just like so like playful and like perverted around each other. It is like obviously this shit should not be happening in real life, but it is such a like breath of fresh air from like the normal romances you see in manga where it's very like traditional, it's very like developed where like, you know, it takes a long time for stuff to actually happen. And obviously it's a cultural difference between the US and Japan. Like in America, you don't really have like love confessions. I mean, like you ask a girl at the prom, but like, you know, there's not like, you're not like, I love you, please go out with, like, you don't do that. You just like, hey, can I get your fucking snap? And then you snap until you pass the vibe check. That's basically how you date in America. God, imagine being an adult and having fucking Snapchat. I never used Snapchat, not a day in my life. Bro, what? Imagine being a fucking adult and using Snapchat. What the fuck? Imagine going up to an adult woman and being like, yo, can I get your snap? Like, just use Instagram, bro. Like, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah, Go With the Clouds, North by Northwest is fucking fantastic. It's super underrated. I need everyone to go read it. If it ever becomes an anime, bro, I'll be there. I will be there. All right, next we got a manga that I actually had no clue where to put. It's Welcome Back, Alice. I read the entire thing, but I just, like, the beginning is so not good, but the ending is so damn good. Like, it's one of the best endings that he's ever written, but it's probably one of the worst beginnings he's ever written. So, like, probably the worst beginning, honestly. Shuzoshimi, I mean. I think a problem I have with this is that it just feels too similar to a lot of his other manga. Basically, the plot is there's this friend group, and there's like two guys and a girl, and the other guy's the main character, the other guy's his best friend. And then one time in middle school, his best friend like moves away, and then 3 years later he comes back for high school, or like a year later comes back for high school, and he's a girl. He's a trans girl now, right? And she has a crush on our main character. And our main character doesn't really know how to feel about that because he still imagines him as like, you know, the dude he used to play fucking Power Rangers with. But now she's like being all sexual with him. So he's like, I don't know how to fucking feel about this. But a problem I have with this is that like, she's kind of like a genuine psychopath. Like, she's kind of fucking evil. This character, I mean, the trans character. Like, she's fucking evil. And then he has the other girl in the friend group starts to have a crush on him, on the main character, because she's like getting jealous. And like, she's fucking evil too. Like, there's this one scene where like, she's like, it's like, all right, we're gonna have sex. And he's like, fuck, okay. And then he like can't get it up. And she's like, you're fucking an asshole because you couldn't get hard. And I'm like, and then like the trans character's like in the fucking corner like watching the shit, and I'm like, I don't think his writing fits the premise at all. Like, this is a premise that needs to be taken with a lot more grace and a lot more like maturity, not maturity, but like a lot more like delicacy, I will say. And it's just fucking, it doesn't fit the story at all. But the ending's fantastic. Like, the ending is so good. Like, the main character finally realizes who his true love is. And I do like kind of wish they got more into the thought of being like emotionally attracted to someone, but not physically. And like the differences of that and like the hardships that comes with that. Because there are a lot of men, and like like people will like be discriminatory with this, but like there are a lot of men who, you know, will not date a trans girl because they just can't get that image of them being a man, or they still have male genitalia. So like, that's a real thing that happens in real life. And it's just not very explored very much. But that's besides the point. I thought the manga was going to explore that. It kind of does, it kind of doesn't. But the ending is fucking fantastic in this manga. I can't really remember what the ending was. I just remember loving it so much. They introduce this other character who's like this artist, and she starts to fall in love with, you know, our trans character, and then they like love each other, and then it just gets so good, man. It gets like complicated, but like a good kind of complicated, and like a lot of the stories start to intervene, and like a lot of stuff starts to get paid off, and like it's fucking fantastic. I had a lot of fun with this series, but really only around the end. The end is where it starts to get fantastic and really starts to get like really like philosophical. But the beginning is kind of horrid. All right, next, I really gotta bring this up. We aren't done. Dragon and Chameleon. This is a story about a manga author who's like really cool, and then a manga author who's really not cool, and they switch bodies. That's basically what it's about, and it is just so much fun. It's not really, you kind of learn a lot about manga, but you kind of don't. You learn about different stuff in the industry, and you learn about, you know, different ways to draw. The art, by the way, is fucking fantastic in this volume. You know, you learn different ways to draw. You learn different what's it called? You learn like different aspects of the manga industry. But there's just so many cool scenes in this manga. The main character is so good. He's like your classic like shonen protagonist. And he is a lot of fun. I'm trying to find like a panel to show to be like the art is good, but I can't really find one. But you know, whatever. Who cares? And it's just so much fun. The character's a lot of fun. The antagonist is so much fun. The side characters are a lot of fun. Volumes 2 and 3 have like a little bit of like their mini arcs, and they're really cool. I gotta read volume 4. But yeah, this series was just super good. Yeah, fantastic. All right, next we have a manga that literally like brought my spirit back to life. It's Sanda. Volume 1 was very good. I would not put it this high just based on Volume 1. The reason I'm putting it this high actually is because of Volume 2. Volume 2 is probably one of the best volumes I read all year. It was so fucking good. Just like genuine, like almost perfection. Excuse me? Sorry, I thought I heard something. We're never finishing this video. I'm like kind of scared. Bro, it's like dark out. I'm like kind of nervous. Okay. Volume 2 is absolute perfection. They take a lot of the ideas developed in Volume 1 and really amplify them and really ask questions onto why characters think this way, why these things are implemented, the world and like how interesting it is and how Santa Claus fits into all that. And they really start to develop this idea of Santa Claus with the main character as well, and how he's kind of having like this like inferiority complex where he kind of feels like his best friend that he likes really only loves him for Sanda, his Santa form. And it kind of messes with him a little bit. And then there's so much development with her and then her friend that like went missing. And then there's so much good shit with the Santa stuff and the world building. It's so much better. And there's so much good development with like, and they start to bring out themes like the belief in God and like how that's related to like the development of teenagers. And it's like so well illustrated and articulated and fucking so cool. And it just it brought back the fucking like sense in my brain of like, man, this author really can cook. I really forgot how good of an author Haruhi Tagaki is. Like, she is a generational talent, like generational author, genuinely one of a kind. Really, you're not going to get a lot of stories like her. I genuinely think she's on a level of like a Tatsuki Fujimoto, where it's like you read her work and it's like you kind of feel like nobody will ever write this way. You know what I mean? And she does it the same way I feel like when you read a Tatsuki Fujimoto manga, where it's like nobody can write in the way that these two can write. Low key, it would be kind of cool to like try to guess if an author, you know, in Blue Lock, there's like geniuses and talented learners. If you're not caught up, you don't, but whatever. In Blue Lock, there's like these things called geniuses and talented learners. It would be kind of cool to like try to get manga authors and say if they're a genius or talented learner. A genius is like someone whose like ability like is just solely based off talent, like they're just born from it. And then a talented learner is someone who builds up their skill and able to use other people's talents for them to shine. So like Isagi is a talented learner because he builds up his ability and uses other people's talents for his own benefit. And like someone like Bachira is a genius because he just got into soccer and he was just really good at dribbling and he just had to improve his dribbling. Low-key, Tatsuki Fujimoto and Haruhi Tagaki, they're both geniuses. I feel like they're both authors who it's like their writing like comes from like a deep, dark place in their mind that started at a very young age. What the fuck am I talking about? Next manga is Veil, by the way. I love Veil. I've been thinking about it a lot. I've been rereading volumes 1 and 2, and I'm praying for volume 3 to actually release in English. This might be my second favorite romance manga. Top 3, honestly. These are interchangeable. Not really interchangeable. I'll say them in order. Fragrant Flower, Blue Box, and Veil. Those are probably my top 3. But like, honestly, Veil is getting up there, man. I love this manga so much. The relationship between the two main characters is so good, man. It's so sweet. One of my favorite chapters, it's this one right here. You just get a lot of these like panels. First off, the colors and the art is beautiful. You got a lot of these panels, kind of like it's like a movie, like frame by frame thing. And they're just sitting down. And they're just talking, whatever. And he's like, just randomly in the middle of the conversation, he just goes, "Oh, give me a sec," right? And then he leaves, and you just see her get a little bit more concerned. And I'm like, bro, I'm gonna fucking cry, bro. That's so fucking sweet. You just don't see that in any other manga. And then he comes back, and she's fucking smiling. Holy shit. I'm gonna fucking blow my luck. Bro, I'm like a fucking Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems, bro. Holy shit, I'm about to come. What did he say? That scene was insane. Video about that movie coming soon, probably, maybe. Yeah, Veil. Fucking incredible read. Genuinely. Such a good romance manga. If you want to read the sweetest, most beautiful, non-toxic romance on the planet, the most natural one at that, go read Veil. It's so fucking good. It's fucking incredible, bro. So good. Next, we have another manga. Honestly, it's like the Veil of horror manga. Ganibal. Honestly, if you want to read an incredible horror manga, go read Gannibal. It's about a police officer who's like assigned to this town because people keep going missing, and then he like the town is like kind of inescapable, and he realizes pretty early that the town is full of cannibals. So he has to figure out a way to get out of the town and not get fucking found out and eaten. Bro, fucking so good, man. Oh my God. And then volume 2 just gets even better. I love Gannibal so much. If you want to read an incredible horror manga, go read Gannibal. This year, I didn't read a lot of horror manga, as you can tell. I mean, I didn't really talk about many horror manga. This, Huntress, Atabana, if you want to count it, and there's probably a couple others I'm forgetting. But Atabana is more of just a mystery. It's not really a horror. This is fucking terrifying. Oh my God, there's just one scene where in volume 2, the main character and his wife are like, they're talking, they're kind of sweet, they start kissing each other. They're like, okay, and they start having like they start having sex. They fully show it, and then while they're having sex, you just see in the corner of the eye and there's like a window, you just see a fucking big ass eye in the window. You're like, holy fuck. My fucking heart jumped out of my fucking chest when that shit happened. I was fucking terrified. Because I was low-key like getting into it a little bit. I was like reading, I'm like, oh shit. And like his wife is low-key a baddie. So I was like, first off, I'm trying to get my female viewership up. Let me quiet down on that. Okay? Let me not be a man. What's the word? Not mansplaining. What's the fucking word? Oh my God. Misogynist. Let me not be a misogynist. His wife is a very beautiful lady. And so I was getting, I was like being immersed in the story. And then I see the fucking eye and I'm like, oh shit. And then we have a backstory for this guy's daughter about like this pedophile dude. And it flows perfectly with the main story, and it's so fucking good, and it's a perfect theme for the main story, and everything just starts to come together. Oh my God, bro. I'm about to fucking come. Like, bro, Gannibal is so good. You know how, like, you can tell I'm getting tired because we're 2 hours into this video, and I'm just, like, I was like, at the beginning of this video, I was like, oh, the character discrepancies are really beautiful to read about. And I don't think it really does this part well. And I'm like being all critical. And then the middle part, I'm like, characters were good. Art was good. I just really like the story. It's really good. And then now I'm just getting fucking hyped. Being like, bro, this manga's good, bro. Just read it. All right. Next, Tower Dungeon. Volumes 1 and 2 are the ones that I read. Volume 3 just came in the mail. I'll probably read it pretty soon. This manga is so cool, man. Same author as Blame, by the way, and I love it so much more. It's basically about this world where like there's like a tower and like people are like trying to go up the tower to like save a princess. It's kind of like Mario, but like if it was like creepy crawly and shit. First off, art fucking fantastic. Pacing, some of the best, like fantastic pacing. Our party are like the 3 main characters that we're introduced to. So good, man. Like. They kind of get introduced into these like archetype kind of characters. Like our main character is kind of wimpy. Our main girl is a bit of like a misty like tsundere type, but she's not a tsundere like love tsundere, but she's just more of like a mean character. And then we have like our leader kind of character, but they all are like very grounded and very fleshed out. So like yes, they are these like kind of cliche gimmicks, but there's so much more than that. The monsters in this manga are so well drawn. When you look at one of the most terrifying things you can do when you draw a monster, in my opinion, is make it look human, or make it look recognizable, but don't make it look referable, if that makes sense. So there's like some monsters I look in here, and I first look at it, and I'm like, and you start to wonder like, how does this thing even exist? Because you're like. You see eyes, but then there's another part that sees eyes, and then there's like, but maybe those are the nipples, or maybe that's the mouth, and then maybe those are the hands, and you don't really know where the front or the back of the body is, and you're like, you don't really understand how something like that can biologically exist, even though it's like recognizable, like it has aspects that we see in animals and like anatomy, but it's so off that it kind of messes with your brain a little bit, and it's fucking terrifying. Basically, in conclusion, go read Tower Dungeon. It's so sick. All right, I said Berserk was gonna be on here. Come on. No, I haven't read to like a good part yet. Obviously, I am still in like Guts' backstory with Griffith and the one girl, I'm forgetting her name, the tan girl, and like his entire, like their entire clan and family and shit. It's just good. Like you can tell the author is so good at writing like just pure character development. Like seeing Guts come from this like lonely, damaged young boy who was like, just went through such hardships when he was younger, and seeing him like grow comfortable around the community and grow to care for like these people that he really doesn't know that well is so beautiful to read about. It is so nice. My only, and then the fights are so sick. The monsters are so cool. My only issue with Berserk, and Deadass is my only issue, is the world seems too evil. Like, we have not come into a part of the world where I'm like, okay, this would be a nice place to live. You know what I mean? How am I supposed to assume that, like, we see Guts' backstory and it's supposed to be the most tragic thing ever. How am I not supposed to assume that every other character in this universe has had basically a similar experience? Because literally all people do in this fucking place is fight and have war and fucking die to like devil bats and fucking monsters and demons. Like, how am I not supposed to think that every single person in this world has had the same shitty life that Guts has had? There's no contrast. There's none. That's my only issue. Everything else is damn near like incredible to perfect. I really am liking Berserk. It's not like, for me, it's not on that level of like, I understand why everyone rates it highly. Like, I mean, I understand it, but like Berserk, when I read it, it's like, I haven't gotten to the point where I understand why everyone says it's undoubtedly the best manga ever. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I have gotten to the point of like, this is high quality manga. This is a high quality manga that is like fantastically written. But I haven't gotten to the next step yet. I mean, for obvious reasons, we still have more manga to go through. So, I mean, we're in the single digits. We're very close. This might be the top 5. But for obvious reasons, like I haven't gotten there, but I'm getting close, probably. All right, next I have 20th Century Boy. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. What the fuck is this manga doing up here? I'm gonna talk about this manga first. Thunder 3. Sorry, I put this in the wrong spot. This should be here. The first volume is fucking fantastic. The first 2 are first 3? I don't remember. It's either the first 2 or first 3. Generationally incredible. The volume after that, either the 3rd or the 4th volume, so mid. So that's why I'm putting it lower. But the first couple volumes of this were so fucking good. So good. Art was incredible. Characters were incredible. It was terrifying. It was sad. It was beautiful. Everything about it was so cool. I loved this first part of this manga. After that, the 4th volume, not great. Not great. Just wasn't. All right. Now we have 20th Century Boys. This might honestly be my favorite Naoki Urasawa work. I've read 2 volumes of this, and I've read 3. I've read 4 of his works. I haven't finished them yet. Asadora, I've read the first 6 volumes, which I love. I've read all of Monster. I've read half of Pluto. And 20th Century Boys is honestly, if I had to rank them, it's been Pluto, Asadora, Monster. 20th Century Boys is already being out Pluto. And I've read 2 out of the 12 volumes. Honestly, it's also being out Asadora. So it's Monster, which is at the top, which I don't know, we'll have to see the ending. But Monster's ending is one of the best endings I've ever read. So it's going to be hard to beat that. And then we have 20th Century Boys. At 2 volumes, we already have 20th Century Boys. It's so good. So this guy just knows how to write a story, man. He just actually knows how to write a story and how to write good characters, and he just knows how to fundamentally write amazing manga. Honestly, if there was a manga author, I'd be like, this is a talented learner, Naoki Urasawa. Deadass. I think he's a talented learner. I think he's refined his skills. Next, Ultra Heaven. The more I think about this manga, the more I love it even more. It's a manga that I like. I have genuinely, when I was reading this, I have never felt a greater deal of anxiety. Like but it wasn't anxiety. It was a mix of a lot of different emotions that I've never felt with any other medium I've ever experienced ever. And Ultra Heaven gave me that. Like, do you know how crazy that is? Like Haikyuu, my favorite manga ever. Ever. One of my favorite things I've ever experienced ever. Probably my favorite, honestly. I can still say, you know what? I felt a similar emotion when I read Blue Lock, or Blue Period, or Zom 100, or Alice in Borderland, or One Piece. Like, I can still say, you know what? I felt similar emotions in those moments. I can't say that with Ultra Heaven. I actually can't. It is a manga that, like, surpasses expectations and surpasses insanity and just chaos. It surpasses it. It's so good. Wow, my throat is actually destroyed. Oh, fucking pause. We are officially on the top 4. Ultra Heaven was the 5th best thing I've ever read in this year. Number 4 is Innocent. I read the first 2 volumes. I think I have volume 3 somewhere here. I want to read volume 3. I'm going to read volume 3 this year. 2026 is my year. I'm going to read volume 3. This might be one of my favorite things I've ever read. The more I think about volumes 1 and 2 of Innocent, so good. So good. Really. Like, first off, the art, fantastic. Characters, exceptional. Themes, so fucking good. There's this one scene, and I think volume 2, where a character is getting executed, and it's so good. It is so generationally good. Shinichi Sakamoto, genius. Not a talented learner. But he could be, but honestly, he could be. I think he's a genius. But I don't know. How do you fucking draw like this guy, man? How do you draw like that? Every panel, every scene is so perfectly layered and drawn and written in a way that is so beautiful. And it just when you read such a good manga, it just kind of makes you lose hope in fucking ever amounting to anything in your entire life. Like there's a level of quality from some of my favorite manga I've ever read, like The Boxer and The Horizon and Real, where I'm it pisses me off that these guys can write so good. It pisses me off. This is just a level, one step below it, where it just makes you lose hope and makes you sad for how good the writing is in this manga. That's Innocent. And honestly, the next volume I'm about to talk about, pretty close in quality, I would say. Pretty close. It is Bastard. The thing is with Bastard is consistently Innocent is better. But the Bastard had a scene in the first volume that it's similar to Ultra Heaven, where I've never felt an emotion like I did in that scene. And those who read Bastard Volume 1 know what I'm talking about. I have never felt that kind of emotion when I saw that twist in any other manga ever. And Innocent has never made me feel any kind of emotion like that. I read it and I'm like, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful piece of art. Bastard is a manga where I'm like, I don't know if I can physically handle this manga. That's how good Bastard is. That's really how good the quality is so high. I have to physically and mentally prepare myself to read it. Now, volume 2 wasn't as good. Honestly, if I only read volume 1, I probably would have put it number 2 on this list. But yeah, I probably would have put it number 2 on this list. But I did read volume 2, and it wasn't very good. Well, that's not true. It was fantastic. It just wasn't as good as volume 1. It didn't give me a scene like volume 1 did, and honestly, it's volume 2 kind of hurt volume 1. Like, I don't really like where the story's going. The main conflict is kind of feels like it's being dealt with a little bit in volume 2, and I don't really like that. The main conflict is like this like upending force for the main character, and we don't really, and it kind of feels like the upending force is kind of just becoming like a stoppable force. I didn't really appreciate that, but volume 2 is still fantastic, don't get me wrong, and this was still fantastic as well. Down to our final 2. And our number 2 is actually a one-shot. I know. And that is Nude Model by Tsubasa Yamaguchi. The more I think about this manga, the more I begin to love it even more. There are a lot of stories in this manga. There's 3 main ones. There's one about 2 people who draw each other nude, or paint each other nude, or really one girl paints one guy nude. There's another story where a dude jerks off to himself. He like jerks off to his own voice. That story is fucking fantastic. It's probably the best story in there. And there's another story about vampires being prostitutes. Now, I know a lot of those sound kind of weird. They're probably the 3 best short stories I've ever read in my entire life. You know how 1728, what was it called? 1722 or some shit like that? Just released like the Tatsuki Fujimoto short story anime where like one episode it was a different studio and that kind of stuff. And everyone said it was like a masterpiece. I have a video about that. I'm going to have a video about Tatsuki Fujimoto coming up. But I'm going to get into that later. This is my 1722. I've read I think it's 1728. Why do I think that? I don't know. I have read it. I think the stories are fine. I think everyone loves them a lot more than I do. This is my that. This is my like, I read these stories and like, we need to, when Tsubasa Yamaguchi dies, we need to take her brain and her soul and heart, and we need to put it into a museum, and we need to study it for science. How the fuck do motherfuckers write this way? How the fuck does that happen? How? I don't know. And it's gotten to the level where it's like, yeah, it pisses me off. How the fuck do you do that? How? Especially the second story. How do you fucking create such a perfect story centered around a dude who jerks off to his own voice, and it's genuinely meaningful and fucking beautiful, and it like deconstructs societal gender norms with a story about a guy who jerks off to his own voice? How the fuck do you do that? And how do you relate it to a coming of age puberty story? What? How does that, how do you even think of that? It's like, it's fucking ridiculous, man. It's actually ridiculous. Whatever. Nude Model was incredible. Now, time for the best thing that I read all year. And I read 3 volumes of it. And viewers of the channel might know what it is. It's Manga to the Library. I don't got much else to say. Manga to the Library just like actually might be a perfect manga. At least of what I've read so far, it's perfect. The art, there's one scene, and I'm going to leave it at this and I'm going to end the video. There's one scene that I always go back to that it's a scene where there's 2 characters talking to the main character, and they're explaining to him the history of books and like the history of text and how it originated on stone tablets and like the rolls and, you know, all that shit, and how it originated from like drawings on walls. And in any other manga, it would just put a bunch of speech bubbles, make it really uninteresting, and just kind of bore the reader. But in Magus of the Library, they draw a beautiful scene where the main character is like going through all these different eras of time while this is being explained to him. And it's so beautifully drawn and beautifully written, and it shows so much purpose. And it has so much purpose in the story. And it gets related to later on. And it's a scene that in any other manga, I feel like an author would just take the easy way out and just write, oh yeah, the character just talks to them and sits down and whatever, and make it uninteresting. And in this manga, it's like the author is allergic to bad writing. The author is allergic to not making you engaged. I'm actually speechless. I have no clue. I have already glazed so many manga in this video. I have. And for once in this video, I have no words to talk about how good Magus of the Library really is. Is it better than Full Night? No. Better than IQ? No. Is it better than Blue Lock? No. Is it better than Versus? Yeah, probably. Maybe. I don't know. We'll just have to wait till next year. Next year, it's going to be a fantastic year for you guys. We're going to be reading so much more manga. We're going to be buying a lot less and reading a lot more, probably. That's actually not true. We're going to be buying too much. And yeah, I'm just so excited to see what 2026 has in store. I have a really good feeling about this year. My voice is shot. I'm going to go eat dinner, and then I'm going to go probably take a shower, and then go to sleep. Thank you guys for watching. Happy New Year's.